Okay, we're now going to begin part 3 of our imaging studies using the 3-inch ST80 pup along with the ASI Studio and the ASI imaging system that I've discussed earlier. I've gone through all of the possibilities of actually capturing images, and I've realized that basically the closest approximation to the Revolution 2 system is the ASI Live Deep Sky Stacking. Now I've navigated the scope to Messier 31, which is pretty much on the zenith at this point, under not particularly enchanting skies. I'm not seeing much in the way of stars, so the imaging we're about to see now is not under the best possible conditions. But let's have a look. So I initiate the ZWO ASI 533 MC Pro Deep Sky Imaging Camera. I'm going to set the cooler to, it's supposed to be set, but first I have to initialize it apparently. Then I can set the cooler to minus 10 degrees, which it is, and then I have to actually start imaging. And this is an image of Messier 31, 32, and 110. We're getting a little bit of reflected light right now. It's probably coming from the scope position vis-a-vis the light from our own home off to the right, but Vanessa's in there cooking. So we're not going to get the best view of the screen. I'll put my hand in front of this to see if it blocks it. No, that's not doing anything for us. So let's allow the image to develop on the screen. Perhaps I can position something as you watch. So we're looking at Messier 31. Oh, I see the problem. Somebody parked right in front of the light that's right behind us, and that light is now reflecting into the telescope lens. So I'll put my hand on the other side of the camera and we'll see if it disappears. That's very unfortunate. I'll stand here and let you watch the image develop. Okay, I think I understand what's going on. We have a palm tree behind our property, and now Messier 31 has progressed to the point where the palm tree is reflecting light from the parking of the vehicle neighboring us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically see if this will do an equatorial flip. Oh, the light just turned off, so let's see what happens. No, we're losing light because we're getting obstructed by the tree. Let me knock off. Okay, to do my equatorial flip, I just designated M56 as my target. Now I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit, see if we get any resolution of stars. It does appear we are resolving Messier 56. It didn't center too far off from the middle of the screen. We're doing stacking, 5-second exposures, and I believe we're getting 5 stacks. Actually, no, let's see what the exposure time is. Yeah, 5 seconds, 5 stacks. We are resolving Messier 56 under very poor skies, and this is a view you might get through a 6-inch telescope. You probably usually resolve maybe 6 or 8 stars of this ninth magnitude globular cluster. So now let's try Messier 31 once again. I've just centered Messier 31 on the screen. You can also see 110 located right there. We've done a pole flip, and there's Messier 32, I do believe. We're going to give it a chance to do its 5-second exposures, 5 image stacks, which approximates to what I usually do with the Revolution 2 imager, but at twice the magnification and half the field. Now in The Revolution 2 system, all you basically can see is a very intense region of light. You don't get to see, and that's with a 6-inch scope under really decent skies, you don't get to see any dark lanes. It's also difficult to pick out the H2 region that is located along the axis of Messier 31, the Great Andromeda Galaxy. We may still be losing a little light due to the tree, but I do not think so now that we've done the equatorial flip. So we want to give this baby a chance to fully develop on the screen, and I'm going to bail on the camera to save imaging time. Okay, I have to be honest with you. I had an earlier image of Messier 31, 32, and 110. The sky seems to have degraded. We were seeing, Vanessa and I were seeing extension of the galaxy all the way across the screen. You can see hints of a dark lane right there. There were also 2 dark lanes towards the bottom and right-hand side of the screen. This image is inferior to the one I had before. I can only suspect that sky conditions have degraded. The dark lane that I've never seen with the Rev 2 system, due to the fact the magnification was too high, is present on this screen. But I must say, the extension of the galaxy was beautiful. It was an extremely good view of the galaxy that impressed me and Vanessa very much. So here we have Messier 32 and we have Messier 110. We have the core of the galaxy. We're seeing some hints of a dark lane and some extensions going off to the distance vaguely on the screen. So as far as I can tell, there has been sky quality degradation since I previously imaged the galaxy without the battery available to actually record the image. In fact, I had to pull the battery off the charger a little early. Let's move on to a few of the remote galaxies that are associated with Messier 31, NGC 147, I believe, and there'll be another one. Let's have a look at those next. Maybe we'll come back later on. The conditions will be better, but unfortunately Messier 31 is progressing into the palm tree to my left. All right, given the fact that I haven't provided you with any data yet, let me give you some data on Messier, NGC 147, which is a satellite galaxy of Messier 31, the Great Andromeda Galaxy, if I can make it out here in the dark. This particular galaxy is an elliptical class 3, which is quite astounding for a satellite, but maybe not so much. Satellite galaxies often get ripped off of their whole dark matter, leaving behind basically stars. The galaxy is 2.6 million light years distance, and it's located in Cassiopeia. I'm not going to give you right ascension and declination. That information is not available to me. The galaxy itself, I'm sorry, that was 147, is magnitude 12 in blue-violet, and there's a huge delta because visible magnitude is 9.5. That's extraordinary. That's 2.5 magnitudes different between its brightest, youngest stars and the rest of the stars in the galaxy. I mean, it's quite ancient galaxy, and it really does display elliptical characteristics. In terms of the J band, it's magnitude 7.9, which is reasonable, and the H band is 7.34 magnitude, and the K band is 7.2, and that's quite reasonable. The delta is about 1.7 magnitudes. I believe we're seeing the core of the galaxy right about there. And I'm wondering why it ended up there, because maybe this thing does some kind of inferential setting based on the fact you manipulated the last image, and that would be a very nice feature in a mount, that whenever you go and center up a study, it remembers and does a correction. So not a particularly good view, but I am going to do a thing called zooming in, which we discovered earlier. And let's zoom in on the galaxy. We're now at 60% zoom in. Wow, quite impressive, isn't it? We're getting a pretty decent view of NGC 147. I'll zoom out once again and we'll go to its sibling galaxy. Okay, NGC 185 is also a distant galaxy, satellite galaxy from M31, the Great Andromeda Galaxy. It's quite present on the screen. I have seen it under really good dark sky conditions, both this and 147 used through the 3-inch scope, but I was on under 6.0 superb skies on a cliff on a ridge overlooking Crater Lake in Oregon, and I was able to visualize both of them at lower power through the 3-inch. The galaxy has got magnitude 15.71. That can't be right, but it is, I do believe it came from the skylive.com in the blue-violet with a 9.2 magnitude visual galaxy. So most all of its light is coming from old reddish orange stars. It's got a J magnitude of 7.3 and a H magnitude of 6.7. Finally, a K magnitude of 6.5, which is quite reasonable. Magnitude, the galaxy is 13 by 11 arc minutes. 147 was 9.5 by 5.5, I believe. This galaxy is also an elliptical class 3, but it's closer at 2.1 million light years. And let's do that zoom in thing again and see what that reveals to us. Yeah, it does seem to bring it out a little bit, doesn't it? The galaxy is located right there. We are seeing NGC 891 distinctly now. The sky is really terrible, frankly. I can barely see second magnitude stars overhead. Of course, my eyes are being affected by local light sources. But anyway, let me give you the data on NGC 891. It's got a blue-violet magnitude of 10.81 and a visual yellow-green of 9.93, which is pretty close to that of a lenticular galaxy, maybe 0.9 magnitude delta. A J magnitude of 9.326, which is the near infrared, H of 6.36, and a K of 5.94. It is 13 by 3 arc minutes of extent, so I think that pretty much calculates out to an average surface brightness of about 14. I'll add a note tomorrow. It is a spiral of the AB class, 31 million light years distant. This is pretty much the way our own Milky Way galaxy would appear were we to see it at that distance, edge on. They are very similar in their conformation, although our galaxy may be slightly smaller. But I think we've got a slightly more distinct view of it now that it's a little later in the evening, but we're not seeing the dark plane. Sky conditions are very poor, but for that reason, I can say we are actually doing quite well. I'll also notice since I turned on the camera cooler to minus 10 degrees, we're no longer seeing the checkerboard pattern on the screen.